This baked apple pudding is a recipe from an old cookbook from 1813. Using common ingredients including apples, eggs, puff pastry, and ladyfingers. These biscuits were also known as Naples biscuits or Savoy or sponge fingers, and they were also a common ingredient in many of the dessert recipes. You're going to begin by paring and chopping 5 medium to large apples. We're also going to crush about a quarter of a pound of 14 ladyfingers, and even though you can use a rolling pin, most of these cookies are very easy to crush by hand. Add 2 tablespoons of sugar and mix all these ingredients together. Now we're going to add our heavy cream, continue to mix, and we'll start separating some eggs. The recipe calls for 5 whole eggs and an additional 5 yolks. You can throw in a couple pinches of salt and just kind of mix all this together, and you can add it to the rest of the apples, biscuits, and cream. Now add your real vanilla extract and a cup of raisins. Next, roll out your puff pastry on a well-floured board. This is a phyllo pastry or a puff rising pastry. The only flour I have in the house is whole wheat, and that's why I have the little dark specks on my puff pastry, but regular flour would work well. Roll it out to about a quarter of an inch in thickness, and then you need about 4 slices of the puff pastry. Now, many of these desserts were baked with a crust just around the edge of the dish. This would often aid as the dessert rose a little and keep it within its dish. Now I'm going to show you a little trick as you circle the top part of your dish with this puff pastry. Most dishes come with a little support on the right and left that you pick the dish up with. The problem is the rest is quite thin, and your puff pastry can easily fall off during baking. So use the supports on the right and left side and just kind of pinch them down. Next, pour in your mixture, and then what we're going to do is kind of balance the other 2 slices. This really is important because they will simply slide off if they're not more on the inside of the dish. So here I'm just kind of placing them a little over the mixture, standing them up a little bit. Remember, this recipe is a couple of 100 years old, and they weren't that fussy about everything looking absolutely perfect, and you really don't want it to look perfect. You want an authentic old recipe. Here you can see as it comes out, the puff pastry has risen, and it's quite a spectacular look. Now we're going on to a very important part of this dessert, which is the brandy dessert sauce. We're combining the sugar, brown sugar, and heavy whipping cream into a saucepan. Next, add your corn syrup. We also will add a half a teaspoon of vanilla a dash of salt, and your fine brandy. And slowly bring this all to a boil. Here you can see the dessert sauce is starting to boil up, and don't be afraid to use a gravy boat and to use it for your delicious dessert sauce. If this is being served to children, you can absolutely eliminate the brandy and you'll still be left with a delicious caramel sauce. This is a dessert from out of the past. It may not be exactly what we're used to today, but it's a wonderful experience and a delicious tasting recipe.